Olembole. Olembole.
Hi, I'm Dan.
And I'm Can.
And this is a Candid Conversation.
Olembole.
Where we just shoot the shit for 20 minutes or so. Talking about whatever is piquing, well, whatever Candy has on her mind.
Not just me.
Well, you know.
It could be either of us.
You're the one that usually comes up for the ideas on this, but
Well, because
we'll
I want these conversations to be more like how we are practically living out what we're actually talking about all the time.
Oh, kind of candid
Yes.
and conversing about it.
Yes.
Thus the name, folks. So this one's kind of an odd one. We usually record a main episode before this, but we're in a busy time right now getting ready for some stuff tomorrow and whatnot. So we're recording this and then recording that one later in the week or something. So we'll figure it out. It's not your concerns. It's ours. But
we just want to tell you all of our business.
yeah, because we're candid about what's going on here. That's how we roll. So,
well, I was thinking since today, or when this comes out, it'll be July 4th, right? Which is when the country usually celebrates just freedom.
249 years.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
249?
Mm-hmm.
What did we always learn was the average age of a democracy? And nothing has ever been done like America, right? Were we the first in this kind of like three branch?
This setup. I mean, the Romans had their own setup with the Senate, and then the Caesars took over with the Senate kind of.
So this was an attempt to kind of prevent all of those things by the three branch. Is the three branch the unique thing?
England set something up similar with their parliament. England set it up vice versa of what Rome had set up. So the Senate would pass things, but the Caesar could overrule it.
Mm-hmm.
And parliament was kind of operating in the honor of the king or queen.
So the king would bring something and then the Senate would make the final call.
Well, the king or queen could suggest something, but Parliament made up all the rules, and they were acting in the interest of the king.
And they still run that way?
Yes. And we set it up with the checks and balances. It was kind of unique system there. But I think it might have been Benjamin Franklin that said it takes 200 years for a democracy to figure out how to destroy itself. So basically, that's when the politicians know how to work the game to benefit, and kind of what we're seeing here with late-term capitalism, where the 1%'s kind of run everything. Happy 4th of July, everybody! Celebrate the demise of our country.
Oh God! Well, that is kind of something I wanted to talk about, is just like freedom and what it looks like, what freedom really is, but I also wanted to bring up like kind of what happened this week for me and how you handled it, because I just got trapped in an algorithm that was just
doom and gloom.
Yeah. Poison basically for my own mind. And I work with the mind all the time and I read and study all that stuff and I still get trapped by it, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I felt physically unwell, like physically very low energy, very sad, almost like depression. Yesterday was not good. But
there was a lot of stuff playing in on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's other hormonal things and whatnot, but that was a big part of it. And had I not been feeding my mind that all day long, well, not all day long, but you know what I'm saying? Like I was just like hitting hits of it every once in a while. And it's almost like...
And you've been doing it for a few weeks too. So it's kind of been a slow build up.
And it's like, partly it's this fear of missing out, the FOMO thing, you know, like something's going to happen politically and I'm not going to know what's going on.
Yeah.
So there's part of that, but there's also just this desire or maybe it's coming from my old programming, where I don't want to be one of the people who doesn't know because I'm sticking my head in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I need to, because you almost get slapped either way.
You're doing a pendulum swing.
Yeah.
So you went from evangelicalism with your head completely buried in the sand.
As a woman in evangelicalism, it's like But though I did get into it towards it, but that's kind of what would cause my
Yeah.
deconstruction a little bit, because I started to be like, these guys are.
But you were relying on the man to take care of everything.
And I trusted, especially, I guess I trusted my church. I trusted you to tell me, or my dad to tell me, or you know what I'm saying? I didn't really worry about the government because I also have white privilege.
So then you swung the pendulum to the complete opposite side and tried to get yourself fully.
And I wasn't around people that were suffering at the hands of the government as much. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I saw bits and pieces of it, like people who, I mean, my grandma lived on Medicare or Social Security. That's all she had when she was, but she did okay. And she didn't talk about those things, you know, and it was a different time. And I mean, she did scrape by, but she did it because, I mean, she was poor all her life anyways.
Yeah.
So, and I did know people, like there was a lot of shame with people being on the welfare and stuff. There was a lot of like, you shouldn't be, but yet then I would find out that people that had a lot of kids, like we never used the government at all for any of the things. No. We didn't ask family. We didn't ask anybody.
We know people
we just dealt with it.
That were in the same mindset as us, that were less financially abundant as us, that were refused. They could have easily qualified for a number of programs,
and they refused to do it. Yeah. Then I knew ones who would talk against it and were using it themselves.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay,
and abusing it themselves.
Yeah, and it's like, all right, like you then stop pushing for other people not to use it, because it is there for people who need it. It really is. Yeah. It's a program that's supposed to be there for people who need it.
Yeah.
And anyways, that's not really the point. The point is that I went on a floppy dick. Okay, well, so
that's why she's smiling right now, folks.
Oh, okay. I don't know. You could look at that different directions, I guess. But anyways, I was in a really low space, and I just wanted to say, like, how good a husband you are.
Oh, see, this is why we're recording. I wanted something to pat myself on the back.
I started talking about it before, and he's like, "Oh, get the microphones off. We got to record real quick." Now say that again.
Let's go down. Let's go down to the room.
No, he had no clue that I was going to say this, but you know, I just thinking back to the time. I mean, first of all, we have a lot going on right now. We're busy last few days, right?
Yeah.
It always seems like we're recording and we say that. I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? We always seem like we're busy. And
I think most people can relate to that.
I know, but I don't like that. Like, I hate it because also I'm busy can be an excuse to like not do things.
Yeah.
We try not to use it that way. There's things we could say no to, but this is something that, okay. So anyways, we've been busy, and you took the time yesterday. Like, first of all, you FaceTime me, because you don't usually FaceTime me. Usually you call me, and you FaceTime me, and you just looked at me and you knew, like, okay, I'm going to just stop, give her a minute and talk and ask her how she's doing, which I thought was really, really sweet. Because
all I wanted to do was pull out some hamburger. And then I saw your face.
It's true. Don't ruin this moment, because now you're going to ruin it. And I'm so proud of you. Now I'm going to be like,
I'm not ruining. I'm setting it up. I called to tell you to crack a joke and then say, pull out some hamburger for dinner.
Yeah.
And then I saw your face and I was like, oh, okay, we're going to shut the mower off. We're going to sit here for a second in the garage and we're going to have a conversation about what's going on.
But you didn't, if you were frustrated by that, you didn't portray that to me.
Yeah.
It didn't come across to me. So you didn't make me feel like guilty for taking your time. You didn't rush me. You tried to encourage me as best you could, and, you know, kind of got me thinking on things that I know that are true. You just kind of reminded me. So you weren't giving me like advice that I didn't ask for. You were just reminding me of things that I have said to you, or that I have used for clients, or that I know, things that I know.
Yeah.
And I just thought,
oh no, I said, suck it up.
No, you didn't.
You look so much prettier when you smile.
No, you didn't do that either. And you let me be like, if you know, like, even when I got off the phone, I was still like in a low space, but I was higher a little bit. And then I spent some time doing some of the things that you suggested that I like to do that tend to help. And they did help. And, you know, after the day, like, I felt better, a lot better today. But anyways, but then there was another moment last night when you came home from work and you paused and you just sat down and And I've noticed lately that you do ask how my day is and you sit and you don't. And I just want to talk about like in relationships, I see a lot of like bashing on men, obviously, right? That's a big thing right now. Men, they all suck. We want the bear. We'll choose the bear over the man, right? Which fair enough, because there's a lot of sounds like there's a lot of jerks. I have not been in the dating pool for a very long time, so I don't know. Even though there was some not great guys when I was dating, but now, you got Andrew Tate and those kinds of guys pushing a message to these young men that is not like, that's not going to get the guy that you want. Like I just saw a video where this young guy is, and maybe I've brought it up on here before, but he was so shocked. He's like, okay, if someone all jacked, I think he's Chris Hemingway, is that someone that's coming to mind?
Between Chris Hemsworth and
Hemsworth
and a dad bod.
I'm not exactly sure who Chris Hemsworth is.
Chris Hemsworth.
I think Thor. I would recognize him if I saw him. Thor. Okay, Thor. All right. So if he came into a coffee shop and you're sitting with your husband and he has a dad bod, you're not going to like, he's not going to draw your attention and you're going to be like, oh man, I wish my husband looked like that. And some guy was.
Yes, we're listening.
some other man was stitching with that video, right? And saying, like, you don't get it. And he was right. They don't get it because it's not, he's like, everybody could probably notice your muscles. It's just like if a really like a supermodel walks in, everybody notices, yes, she's beautiful. That doesn't mean that you're going to be like, oh, I want to dump you, Candy, and be with her. That's ludicrous. You know what I'm saying? Like, if a famous person, I don't know, wait, are you trying to flex your muscles?
Well, no, I'm just scratching my head.
Daniel, you're still like a teenager. Okay, so, but it's like, that's stupid. Why? Yes, you can notice, oh, he has muscles. And he's like, well, that means he's disciplined. Okay, he's disciplined at going to the gym is what that is. He's disciplined maybe with eating certain foods or whatever. But then I was reading the comments and I was like, just really resonating with what some of these women were saying. First of all, like, yeah, and I don't know about that guy, that Chris guy. Like, I think a lot of these guys talk about how difficult it is for them to get into that shape, and they don't stay in that shape all the time. They do it for roles, and there's women that do that too. They get in shape for the role, and then they go back to like their normal patterns because it's very hard to sustain living like that. It's, probably not really healthy to do back and forth like that, but I don't know. Anyway, so I know people in my personal life who have spent their good chunks of time in the gym, like where they're there for hours and their relationships are never healthy because of it.
Yeah.
It is never like, yes, working out and moving your body is super good. And like your body wants to move and you should move it, but if that is it's all about your visual appearance, like that's so shallow. That's a shallow person. When you look at that person coming in, what your first thought's going to be is maybe you notice his muscles, but then first, I'm not looking at some guy coming in that's super muscular and going, I want to leave because I don't want to leave you. I'm not looking for someone to like replace you. Like I'm into you. And it's not about like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. But these women were saying like, first of all, he spends all his time in the gym, so he's not going to have time to like help me with the kids. We probably can't like go out to eat and just have fun, because he's not going to, want to get a piece of cheesecake or something with me. Can't get drinks because he doesn't want to drink his calories. He doesn't want to drink his calories. And, can't stay out late because he wants to get to bed early because he's got to get up early and get to the gym. And, and it just, there's a lifestyle that comes with that type of person. But then it got me thinking also about, I think I've brought it up maybe on the podcast before, but I brought it up with you before, where I've heard some of these incels or whatever you call, I don't like to call people like labels like that because I feel like that's still dehumanizing a little bit. I don't know what like these bro guys, I don't know what else to call them, but you know what I'm talking about. These guys that are listening to Andrew Tate or guys our age who are listening to these Just for Men beard guys. You know what I'm talking about? These, you don't use Just for Men. We should try it sometimes. It would be so funny. It would be so dark. Could you imagine the guys at work, how much they'd make fun of you?
Yeah. I'd make fun of me. I'd have to kick my own ass.
Anyways, but they're talking about getting a higher caliber woman if they would just wait till they get to whatever level of money they make. I don't know. And that makes me wonder too, what is a higher caliber of woman? If they think a higher caliber of man is a muscular man, so they must think like supermodel, right?
Mhm.
Or like Melania Trump. That I remember that one pastor saying like she's the prize. All she is a look. Do you think Trump and Melania have a good relationship? They look like they have a terrible relationship.
They're very loving of each other.
They don't look like they have fun together. They don't look like they enjoy one another. It's all out of duty. And I'm sure a lot of times in these types of marriages, it might even have almost been kind of an arranged kind of thing, not by their parents, but like this will be a good business move. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of those wealthy people still do that kind of thing. And then they have flings on the side with the people they actually want to hang out with. Right. Yeah. And so, and I don't know, it just made me think when, you took the time. First of all, you didn't start out being a man like that.
It took me all of 28 years.
We haven't been married quite 28. We've been together for 30 though. So, but yeah, I mean, I've had to speak up, and that's kind of what I want to just say is a lot of these women are like, all men are just garbage. And it's like a man can learn. Mm-hmm. Just like I feel like I've learned how to be a better partner to you, you can learn how to be a better partner to me, but only if I bring up the points. I think a lot of times women, I used to do it. I expected you to read my mind. Like I would have gotten on that phone call with you and, he didn't even notice. Like, what kind of jerk is that? But you've had to learn, like, I've taught you things by telling you, like, when I'm not really talkative and stuff, like something's probably going on, or you've been around me enough times
when
to be like,
quiet, something's wrong.
You're not wrong. But
I remember that one time.
Unless I'm really focused.
You were babysitting the niece and nephew, and our two oldest. They're all under 4 or 5, maybe.
Yeah.
And I come home, and it was just like sheer silence with 4 young kids.
Oh, I remember that day.
And you were rocking the baby.
No, I don't even think we had the youngest or the second. I think I had their 2 kids, which were 2, and our baby. And our baby was maybe 3. So she was maybe 3. Then we had a 2-year-old, 18-month maybe. And then a baby who would not, it was colicky and just cried all day long. And I was pregnant. I was like far along pregnant.
Yeah, and I walked in the door and I was like,
I think I was just rocking in the chair staring at the wall.
And I stepped back out of the door. It's like going back to work.
And that's kind of, I mean, that's the kind of stuff you would just avoid rather than you had to learn how to be comfortable with sitting with those uncomfortable emotions so that you could learn how to feel them too. So you can recognize them for yourself because you grew up in a family where you just, I mean, your family avoids uncomfortable emotions big time.
Yeah.
They will trash talk somebody like, trash talk people behind their back, no problem. But when they're there, will they confront it and actually deal with it? No. Mm-mm. They just kind of shut down. They don't know how to deal with the other than the emotion of like anger through gossip.
Yeah.
They don't know how to like actually resolve situations and they just never talk about it again.
Yeah.
They just act like it doesn't exist or never talk about it. And that is something you had to learn how to. Now, I was used to being around a lot of emotions. But uncontrolled, unbridled, and no real resolve necessarily either.
Thanksgiving and Christmas, fun memories.
Oh my goodness. Confrontation was like no problem. Like, we'll confront each other. Oh, he said what? Oh, I am going to have words. Like we had no problem with that. And I still.
And honestly, this has gotten us in trouble before too, where I'm like, let's slow roll this. We'll work it into it.
I've learned how to like calm it down a little bit and like not be so impulsive.
Jenkins. I'm trying to work out a plan and you're firing in there.
I've had so many times where I've said something and then I'll look at you and you're looking at me like, no. It's like when somebody's spilling something and you're like, no, trying to stop it. Like you see the words coming out and you're like, and I'm like,
well, buckle up. Put on the flak jacket because it started. She just dropped.
But maybe those times, and a lot of that happened right after deconstruction, right?
Yeah.
But maybe those times actually really helped you grow up too, because you realize I can handle these emotions. I can deal with
It almost got us
confrontation.
into fist fights.
I wasn't going to fight, but I was standing behind you.
You're like,
your fist is clenching. I'm like, no.
Here comes an atomic bomb. Why don't you guys duke it out in our living room?
No, but you did have to like step in because of the problems maybe I made. I don't think I made the problem, but I didn't deal with the response to what happened. I didn't respond well.
No, you were like, okay,
I was reactive.
I'm trying to slow roll it in, kind of ease into it, and you're like, let me say something here.
For all of those who you can't see, he was taking out his earrings. Yeah, but I just in 2020 we'll be married 28 years here coming up next month. Mm-hmm. I just think what I'm trying to say is it doesn't happen by just being around each other. You have to talk.
Yeah.
You have to talk about things, and you have to be willing to sit with those uncomfortable emotions.
And you have to listen.
And you have to listen. Yeah.
Because you were in one of your lower points yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And just because I've listened in the past, I knew, all right, here's what we're going to do, and used your own words against you.
Yeah. Well, and you also, here's the thing, some people try to like create this formula, like a man, don't come in and tell her what to do. Yeah. Okay. That you need to know your own partner. Is that what she likes? Or does she like you to give her some advice? Or you could just ask her. And you know me well enough to know, like, first of all, what kind of advice? Now, you don't tell me like, just stop it.
What I have to do with you is help you think through it and use terminology and feelings and emotions that you understand.
Yeah.
So that you can arrive at it on your own.
Yeah.
I'm kind of guiding you through the
process. Not
process.
that I don't understand words that he understands. That kind of came but words that I would use is what you're saying. Yeah. Yes.
And help you, because if I can give you all the advice in the world, but if you didn't arrive to it yourself, you can be like, fuck that. I'm going to go look into it myself and figure it out.
Yeah, probably.
And then you could come to the same conclusion that I said, and you've been like, look what I figured out on my own. And then I go, good job.
You know what? You do the same exact thing.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. We're both the same way. But that's how we've learned that about each other. Yeah. It's not a bad thing or anything. I just know that if I can help you process through and work it out in your own mind, it's going to stick in there better.
You're doing exactly what I would do for clients is you're just giving space, a sounding board kind of there where they have space to process it. Mm-hmm. Because if I don't slow down in the day, I just carry the burden all day long. It's just going to get worse. And I really feel for people who don't have this, but what I'm saying is start talking to your spouse. If you have troubles in your marriage, like start talking about it. Like I remember the time that I said to you, like, stop trying to be a good husband and just be you. I want to know who you are so I can make a decision. Do I want to stick around or do I not want to stick around? Do I like this guy or do I not like this guy?
After the peanut butter episode, you decided you don't want to be around here anymore.
That's a recent finding and understanding, and I'm still. It's the jury's still out on that one.
still recovering from that wound.
But yeah, like just talk to each other, and then you can have a healthier relationship. I think a lot of these people think it comes by just being together. Some of it, yes, comes by being together a lot. Mm-hmm. But if you don't talk, like how many years were we together and we just weren't talking about things? We weren't being vulnerable. Being vulnerable is super important in a healthy relationship. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be able to say, you got to show like the warts about you, the things you really don't like that you just maybe don't tell anybody else, but you tell that person because you feel safe. But don't do it until you feel safe. And so that you have to be a safe space so that they can tell it. And then just like with you, some of the things that, when you have to tell me something, I have to make sure that my reaction is not like flipping off, and like making it worse than it is maybe, or just not pausing and being like, okay, he needs to be able to safely say this because he's trying to work through it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I think a lot of times men do try to, they just don't feel safe.
Yeah.
I mean, would you say that that's true a lot of times? Like a man just doesn't feel safe enough to show, like if he's scared, he doesn't want to say that because
It's safety because we have no clue what's going on. So it's unfamiliar.
okay, but
So-
you're talking about when I have a problem.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about when you have a problem. Like,
It's still the same there because you think about what we've been taught, especially from an evangelical lens, is you need to be the rock.
Yeah.
You need to be the captain of the ship. You can't show
men don't cry.
Yeah, you can't show weakness. And I remember, there was that one time when we were having an issue with our finances. And
I remember that time too.
It was a dark day and I kind of broke down a little bit.
Yeah, you
and
did.
then you were
It scared the crap out of me. Yeah, it did. It did. And I probably shouldn't even, I think I even told you that.
Yeah.
And that probably made it so that you would shut down a little bit more, like, don't show her that because I don't want to scare her.
Yeah.
And that's a burden that a man is carrying too. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. That might be something that we have to we don't really discuss that a whole lot since that time, have we?
Kind of off and on.
I mean, but do you, that's something, I don't know. I mean, we won't know until we get tested again, whether I can handle you. I mean, we've had probably something that was,
Yeah. Well,
and I don't think.
Hunter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was.
Yeah.
I had to be the strong one there for sure. And it was okay. It didn't make you less of a man. It just, I know hey, he's I deal with grief with clients too. So I'm just processing it faster or different, So I knew that I had to be strong in that moment. Did that make me the more man one? No, that's stupid.
Oh yeah. You were like, make me some dinner, bitch.
That is not how you behave. So
clean up the mess when it's done.
And the last thing I want to talk about is on the same line, but I heard this today about masculine energy and feminine energy, and it was that there was something about men creating space so that the wife can be in her feminine, where she can be soft and because she's responsive. Feminine energy is always responsive. Mm-hmm. It's not. It's not the initiator. It's the responder. And I've said before, women aren't always in their feminine energy, nor should they be, and men are not always in their masculine, nor should they be. But if we're talking about feminine and masculine as the culture, the guy was kind of saying that men need to remember, the woman will respond to how you're treating her. So if you're treating her well and she feels safe, you'll see that side of her. You'll see that fun, loving side of her. If she doesn't feel safe and she has to be always in control and keep things in check, well, you're going to see that side of her too. That's very strict and, which I just thought I'd never heard it said that way. And I thought it was interesting and holds kind of true in my experience anyways.
Yeah. So, yeah, it makes sense that,
I mean, and vice versa. If you want, so it kind of almost does fall on the guy a little bit to kind of change the marriage in some ways. I think either party could do it. And in our case, I think I kind of started it a little bit by.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you had a point. I was pretty dense about some of this stuff. And then once you point it out, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I can see your point. All right. There's some things that I need to look at. See what can be done about it. So, like I said, 28 years to figure out this whole, we need to communicate. We need to touch base daily, see how things are going. Just get a pulse on how the day went. So it's not 4 weeks of build up and then a giant explosion. So it took a while to learn that, but it's starting to sink in. Am I great at it? No, but I'm better than what I was. So,
I think you're way better than you were at it. And I think that and the fact that that I had space to emotionally mature and learn how to regulate, because I think a lot of times women are accused of being emotional because it's just unregulated emotion. Like, we're allowed, yes, to have these emotions minus anger, but we're supposed, we're not taught how to like bridle it or control it in the way that we want to.
A good example maybe to kind of conclude this is just the communication of understanding what's going on. So being able to sit down and talk to each other on a daily basis, you know, and, you know, this time of year is kind of tough because I have weird schedules and sometimes I'm not home all day long, you know, and by the time I get home, I leave and you're in bed and I come home and you're in bed. It's not to say you're in bed all day
it's
long.
Just lay in bed all day.
It's just, I'm at work at 5 and I don't get home until 10 or 11 at night sometimes. And
5 a.m. you go. Yeah.
So there are days like that, but being able to talk, being able to discuss things and, you know, making you feel safe and being able to discuss because, you know, I'm not going to judge you on it or act in a, you know,
but also
like,
that you're going to
just fuck, you know,
and you're also going to pause and give me time and not feel like, hey, not this idea of, because I think sometimes us as women feel this too. You're just checking it off your box. Okay, I did it, so I don't have to do it anymore, right? I did it today. See what I'm saying? Instead of enjoying the process and actually getting to know your partner, you're checking a box.
But in that process, I've learned different things. So I know you're in perimenopause. So I know there's chances that I come home and it's going to be, okay, it's going to be a rough one tonight. Let's get through this. Let's let's have this discussion, see what's going on. Because the hormones are just out of whack.
And it's not my fault. And it's not something I can control. And it's part of the human body.
But having that understanding and having that play into it, knowing that this discussion, understanding that this is what's been happening in your life. So then I can have that information to be able to, all right, let's look at this and examine it and work through things. But the whole issue is that we've had a streak of communicating. So I know what's been going on, so I can have an informed opinion on, you know, okay, this is not out of the blue. This is all these other things that we've talked about over the last few months adding up.
And seeing yourself, I think seeing ourselves as a unit is a newer concept for us to, as we've kind of over maybe the past few years kind of realized like, okay, we're a unit. So when I hear things about perimenopause, I've never been through it before. I don't know. My mom didn't tell me anything about it, you know. I will share them with you so that you know what to kind of expect. Like, okay, this might be happening and you've done the same with me. As men get older, these are the things that are going to happen at some point, and we need to be prepared so that as a unit, we can walk through it together instead of like, well, that's your problem, you know, like you're going through that. No, like we're going through it together. Like if part of this unit is struggling, then the unit is struggling. You see what I'm saying? And I think that has changed how...
You're hoping the unit doesn't struggle on my behalf.
I am hoping that, but I do know that that's something that could happen. You can do as you always said when we were like 20s. And I said, well, what's going to happen when that day comes? And you're like, I'll just take 2 popsicle sticks and...
Split it up.
I'm just like, oh, I don't think so, buddy. That sounds disturbing for both of us.
So, but
anyways.
Anywho, we better wrap this up. It's going a little long. So,
all right.
That's where we've been this last week. Happy 4th of July.
Yeah.
Go to DannyCan.com. Check out all our stuff there. Candy jar in there and take a peek at that. Want to contact us? That's one way to get a hold of us. Go and give us 5 stars. We're being honest, open, and vulnerable. And if you want us to keep being honest, open, and vulnerable, 5 stars helps. 4 stars, and we're going to shut you off.
No, we're not.
No more vulnerability. And then if you're watching on YouTube, smash that like, hit that subscribe. We appreciate it. And you know what they say, Candy?
What?
You know what they say. You're supposed to tell me.
Oh, I don't know. Happy 4th of July.
Bye. Bye.